Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Yesterday, we talked about memories that I recalled just from reading some poetry. And Chris left a comment that I have to make a video for because this story is amusing. And I'm just going to read Chris's comment, maybe in totality, because I think that it sets up a very similar story from my perspective, but for a very different reason. And Chris says, "What's the most vivid smell memory for you?" For me, I occasionally had to work at our Oakland construction yard, and when I did, I had to drive past the Colombo Bread Factory, which is right on the freeway close to the Oakland Coliseum. The smell of coastal salt air, then that fresh baked sourdough bread smell would just hit you like a ton of bricks, and it was also such a wonderful moment every day in what was an otherwise horrendous commute through the industrial port of Oakland. If I close my eyes and really think about it, I can almost trick my senses into smelling it again. Okay, first of all, that sounds fantastic. I cannot trick myself into smelling. No, that I have two. One of them I've talked about semi recently, which is just the smell of mass market paperback books. There's something about that smell. It's the smell of Walden Books, which is the bookstore that I spent my time in as a child. And just smelling a mass market paperback just brings so many memories of just comfort to me. So that is one. But similar to your story, I have a driving past a place story that that has a very strong a response for me. I was in the Marine Corps. From 1997 to 2001, I served in the Marine Corps, and from 98 until 2001, I was stationed in Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, which is on the island of Oahu. It's on the windward side of the island? Leeward side? I don't remember. I think, windward. Yeah, we were on the windward side of the island. It's uh, it's the base is its own little island that's like a volcanic rim, like the shooting range is a volcanic rim, and it's connected to the mainland through two land bridges. One is the what was called the back gate of the base. It goes on to Oniaba Boulevard, I think. I forget the name of that little town. Oh, whatever. Back gate, 2-lane road out the back. The other gate is the H1, like Highway 1. It had like an interstate symbol and everything, even though it was just whatever. That if you took H1 from K-Bay, you went to Pearl Harbor, like right across the island. That highway, by the way, was super beautiful, but also super controversial because it's like climbs up these mountains. There's these huge stone pillars. They did a bunch of destructive processes to put this thing into place, and the locals didn't like it. Whatever, not the point. 95% of the time that I left base, maybe 100% of the time that I left base, I went out the back gate. Where my barracks were, I just kind of went out, took a right, and then just went around the back of the base. Like we were basically on the road to the back gate. And we'd go out the back gate into the little town. What the heck is the name of the little town? I lived there. I had a friend. I had a Navy friend who lived off base. I was not allowed to live off base as a Marine. You kind of have to be like a staff sergeant. You have to be fairly important and have a good reason to live off base. Otherwise, you will not get authority to live off base. But I had a friend, a Navy friend, who did live off base. And he lived in Kailua. Duh. So Kailua was kind of like my home away from home. I went out there almost every day. I'm sorry, it was the H3. The H1's the one that ran. Okay, yeah. So the H3 is the road that led from K Bay to Pearl Harbor, and the H1 runs up and down the coast of Waikiki Beach, Honolulu Beach, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, the back gate was kind of right off of my barracks. I would just go around and go right out the back gate. And it was basically where I wanted to go most of the time. There was a comic book store over there we played Magic at. There was a couple of bars over there we frequented. His apartment was kind of go off base and take a left, and it was right there. So I stayed with him a lot. I slept on his couch for like 2 years. We cooked out every night. Like we had whatever. The back gate would close at like 10 p.m. So after 10 p.m., if you want, I think maybe it was midnight. I don't know. It was later in the evening. If you wanted to get back on base, you had to come in on the H3, go through the main gate, which was like 4 lanes wide, go in, whatever. So the main gate was open 24 hours. The back gate was only open basically during the daylight hours. You could maybe 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something like that, you could go in and out of the back gate. So I only went through the main gate if I was coming home late, coming to the barracks late. Okay, what I'm about to tell you, I am not condoning my behavior in any way, shape, or form. But at that time, my only vehicle was a moped. I had a 50cc Yamaha Raz, a red little moped. And it in the state of Hawaii, it is licensed as a bicycle. It's basically not licensed. You could register it if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. It was just a bicycle. And so there was no motor vehicle laws surrounding this device. Now on base, very different story. Very, very different story. That moped was registered as a motorcycle. I had to wear full motorcycle gear, like helmet, gloves, boots over the ankles, long pants, a reflective vest. I looked absolutely ridiculous riding this thing around base, but hey, it was like I got 75 miles to the gallon on that thing. I could ride it forever on $1. So the only time I would come back to base after 10 p.m., I was probably intoxicated. I had probably gone somewhere, had a good evening, and then rolled on through the front gate. There was a few times I can remember the guy asking me why I was swerving. Here's the thing. So being on the windward side of the island, there's a lot of wind on the windward side of the island. And where the Marine Corps base sits, there's like a channel that went between it and the main island, and then the highway ran through there. And that wind through there could be crazy. So it was not a lie for me to say the wind, because often I would be riding like that moped, leaning into the wind to go straight down that road. But at midnight, when I'm 1 o'clock in the morning, when I'm coming back to base, there was swerving for other reasons. And I would often just be like, dude, the wind. And he'd be like, okay, go on through. Now, here's the thing. Let's circle this back around to Chris's story. Right beside that highway, to the left, if I'm coming towards base, to the left, or maybe the right. You know what? I think it was to the left, is a sewage treatment plant. And it freaking reeked. So I have this very distinct memory that's triggered by the smell of raw sewage. And it's generally a jovial memory of me being a complete idiot riding this moped into this base, smelling like absolute garbage. The worst noxious sewer treatment smell you could possibly smell. Very intoxicated, riding a moped into the evening, mixed with the salt and the sea air and the wind. Sometimes that smell, when it was a really hot evening, it was just, I almost threw up in my helmet. So yeah, that's my driving past a smelly place that still will try. Now thankfully I can't trigger that memory, but when I smell a porta potty, very similar without the chemical smell, or just refuse, like it brings back a very distinct, like riding into the wind, going to the base feeling. It's a weird emotional deluge, because there was a lot going on at that point in my life. That's one of my strongest, for sure. That and paperback books. Thanks for the question. That was excellent. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have questions about today or yesterday's topic or anything else you want to talk about? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking it, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is vertiginous. It's an adjective meaning causing vertigo, imbalance, dizziness, or stumbling. Mallory and Michael enjoyed their weekend getaway to Paris, spending many moments staring at the Parisian skyline from the vertiginous heights of the Eiffel Tower. Vertiginous. Vertiginous. I do not get vertigo from heights. I'm not afraid of heights. I am, however, afraid of sketchy ladders and scaffolding and that sort of stuff. But it's not the heights, it's just the sketchiness of the situation.